Yeah. All right. So we had Manchester City 6, Chelsea 0 live on Off the Ball yesterday afternoon. Nathan Murphy was joined by Brian Kerr on commentary duty. Here's Brian on that sensational Sergio Aguero performance. Have a look.
And another Sunday, second Sunday in a row, we're simply left purring at the brilliance of Sergio Aguero. It's very hard to rank players because different eras, different types of strikers. But what Aguero's done over the last couple of seasons, considering there were question marks when Pep Guardiola came in as to whether or not Guardiola really fancied him, if he was his type of striker, what has he done to make himself, it seems, be even better at 30 than he's ever been before?
Well, he's made himself into a more effective team player. I mean, Guardiola demands huge effort from the front players in terms of retrieving the ball, in terms of pressurising the opposition, not allowing them to set on the ball. And Aguero has had to adapt a little bit to that. In the previous eras, he before Pep, he didn't have to do that so much. He was allowed play as a centre forward, sometimes playing off a big centre forward, sometimes playing off Edin Dzeko when he was here even. But he was allowed play as a kind of a sniffer, making runs. But the demands on him now. I mean, part of his role today was to stop Jorginho being the build-up player in midfield, and there was times in the game he was chasing back after Chelsea's midfield players, harassing them into mistakes. So that's how his game has changed, but it hasn't decreased his effectiveness around the penalty area. If anything, he's probably become a bit harder to mark, because when he's chasing back at people, it means when the ball is retrieved, he's obviously in a space. He's not in a natural, normal centre forward's position in between two big centre halves. He's picking the ball up outside the edge of the box, releasing it early off into the two wide speedy merchants, and then arriving into the box late, usually with deadly effect.
Yeah, so that's the lads waxing lyrical about Sergio Aguero. You were making the point that during commentary, Brian Kerr said that actually he would have made Raheem Sterling man of the match.
Yeah, I heard him say that, and I'd heard that said that. I heard that this morning somewhere. You could make an argument for Raheem Sterling. If someone scores a hat trick, you're looking at Aguero, his movement and everything superb. But Sterling was the one that Brian said, look, just brilliant. Scored a couple of goals himself, created goals on the day. He's in great form. He's the form that he's shown this year, he has kicked on to the next level, hasn't he? Even last season as well.
What's he added to his game? What's different?
His movement off the ball is incredible. I think that's the one thing he's seriously added to his game. I think he developed that to an extent under Rodgers, but I think he's cleverer with his movement off the ball now. I think he's always got that ability in one-on-one positions to beat a player, but there's something when you're watching Sterling, and you constantly would have always said he needs to improve running off the shoulder defenders, basically keeping himself on side at times, not going too early, and he's certainly improved that. I think what he's doing now, he's not necessarily running straight lines, he's actually angling his runs off the right-hand side, predominantly where he's been playing, so he's running inside the left-back, and his movement it's incredible. It is incredible to watch. I just need to maybe have a bit of a look at his stats there in front of me now, because the amount of goals that he scored, he scored 14 and created 12 assists, 14 goals this season. It's been
February as well.
Yeah, exactly. 23 last season. He's well on target for that. He's still only 24 years of age. New contract signed.
Yeah.
He's got his game, certainly under Guardiola. Guardiola's taken his game onto the next level. I think he's listened, he's learned, and he's reaping the rewards himself now.
Have they found their best team? The midfield trio was Gundogan, Fernandinho and De Bruyne.
Well, David Silva out. He's rested David Silva. I think he's trying to keep him and De Bruyne both fresh for the Champions League. The midfield three is certainly Fernandinho, De Bruyne, David Silva, definitely. And then you're making your argument further forward where you've got Sterling and Sané on the wings, or Bernardo Silva. I think Bernardo Silva's had an incredible season. So you could put Bernardo Silva in and play Sterling on the left-hand side, as he did yesterday with Aguero through the middle. His options with his midfield and forward line, it's incredible.
It's interesting that we're actually having this conversation about, you talk about all those players in the attacking positions, and the person who's undroppable at the moment is Sergio Aguero.
Yeah.
And given his age profile when his position was under threat a couple of years ago from Gabriel Jesus, that's the most impressive thing about Aguero's form really over the last 12 months.
Yeah.
The fact that he's adapted his game to be a staple in the Guardiola side.
It is, and his goal scoring record now, is he up to 160, I think, Premier League goals? I think someone said at the weekend. His goals to game ratio is phenomenal. It's absolutely phenomenal. Someone might be able to correct me on that one, I'm not too sure of that, but 11 hat-tricks now, and obviously equalled Alan Shearer. Alan Shearer, 11 hat-tricks in double the amount of games.
Yeah.
And I know they've got better play. He's played in better teams, Aguero, than Shearer played in, and you've got it. Shearer's record is phenomenal, it is. But Aguero, his movement, as Brian touched on there, Brian said he's become more of a team player. I think he's had to adapt his game. Guardiola has got him working harder, and that's why he's getting the goals, and his abilities will always be there.
How hard can it be for a manager like that to actually get your players working hard? Because if you look across the sideline, the opposite is happening.
It looked like he was gone though, didn't he? When Guardiola first come in, he was in and out of the team, still scoring the odd goal. I actually saw last week, I think it was Guardiola saying, or I listened to Guardiola last week, talking about the fact is there was a lot of talk around Aguero when I first came in. I didn't quite like him. I always liked Aguero. I mean, how can you not? But he looks leaner. He looks to me like he's lost a bit of weight, Aguero. I think he's got the build where he's not going to lose that power, certainly for a while yet. He's still got a yard of pace. He's not necessarily lost that, even though he's just hit the 30s. And I think in general, he's a sort of player that can continue to get better playing in that system. If he's used sparingly, I don't think he can play every week. I think you might have to say, well, look, Jesus is going to play a lot of games, keep him out the side. But he's certainly got him working harder without the ball. That's clear. When I saw him under Pellegrini over the last couple of seasons, I think his goal scoring rate was still as it is now, but his work rate without the ball certainly didn't help City. And I think that's what hindered City probably in that time as well, why they weren't necessarily beating sides and dominating teams. Without the ball, they weren't as good as they are now.
If you are a Liverpool fan trying to make the case for them to recover from here, not to recover from here, but to somehow stop what City are doing, how do you do it? Like, what's the case?
It seems now... Who said the other week? Somebody said the other week when I was in with them, we were in studio, and said, I don't think City are going to lose. It was Pat Nevin. Pat Nevin said, I don't think City are going to lose a game till the end of the season.
Lauro said it as well.
It was Lauro, you're right, bloody hell, yeah, I'll get there eventually. Lauro said that, yeah, and you're looking at Lauro going, hang on a minute.
Did Lauro not say they were going to win, and Pat Nevin said, well, I can make the case of them not losing, but I'm not sure they're going to win every game.
Yeah, I think they were both on the same page.
Yeah, it was the both of them, wasn't it? Yeah, I'm cracking up here. It's too early in the morning for me. I don't normally see there's only one 7 o'clock in my life, honestly. No, I think in general, you're looking at them the weekend, can you see any side stopping them scoring? If the side's going to beat City, you're going to have to score 3 goals against them. That's the way it looks to me. You're going to have to beat them 3-2, like Palace did earlier on this season. You're going to have to do something extremely special to do them. So Liverpool have to win every game. That's the way it is. If you're going to win the league this year now, you can't have any slip-ups at the end of the season the way it's looking.
Yeah, and that's hard to see, isn't it?
It is. I think that the games that they've got, they looked a little bit more favourable a few weeks ago when you were looking at Liverpool's running. You were looking at Man United, you were looking at Tottenham, weren't necessarily in the greatest of form. I know they're at Anfield. Is Liverpool at Anfield? No, Liverpool. Oh, sorry, Man United at Anfield. I think it's at Old Trafford actually. But Tottenham's at Anfield. But Tottenham, the way that they're playing and the momentum that those sides have got, I think it's going to be difficult for Liverpool to maintain that level.
Both of them have to go to Old Trafford actually. So on Paddy's weekend,
and all
City are there, and on the 24th of February, Liverpool are there.
That's Liverpool's game in hand.
It's a very close standard of running, isn't it? Which makes it all the more intriguing.
Yeah.
But like looking at
Man United are going to have a massive say, aren't they? The way that they're playing and how good they're looking, the freedom that they're playing. You know full well that. I mean, what do they want? I think that Man United fans, it's been said, hasn't it? And it's proved
they want City.
They want City. Yeah, they want City. Yeah.
It's interesting looking at the Liverpool midfield, and I guess I personally disagree with the question marks over Naby Keita because I think he's a lot higher. He's of a higher quality than people make him out to be.
I agree with that, but there's question marks over him though. He's not performed this season. He's not performed at the level.
Well, like Ger, you were there. Was Saturday not one of his most impressive games for Liverpool just yet? And you look at that midfield trio of himself, Fabinho and Wijnaldum.
Fabinho was really good.
Suddenly clicking.
Fabinho's looked very good.
Fabinho was like killing people.
When he first came into that side, I think it was a Champions League game, he played against Red Star, the first game I saw him. And he looked slow on the ball, he was getting caught on the ball. Then he played a Premier League game, he was too slow, taking too many touches. It's almost something's clicked in him, and he knows full well. That's what good players do.
Premier League fitness, maybe?
Well, a little bit of that.
Kind of that, this is going to be absolutely frantic, and I need to get to a level where I can... Yeah. But his close control was brilliant, and also he's got a bit of tug in him that, like, he left his foot in a couple of times. Oh, sorry about that, mate. Pat in the arse.
Yeah.
I've just
like
broken his shin.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry about that.
Is it not insane, though, that Liverpool have been leading the charge in the title all season and there are such question marks around their midfield, that if they manage to get this thing right on track with the midfield, which I think Saturday there's a lot of evidence to suggest they have, then this is exactly the boost
they need. Do you know what, though? If Liverpool's looking at one game, I've seen Bournemouth twice in the last month, and I saw them at Cardiff, and I saw them wherever I saw them. Away from home, you're on a run of 7 on the bounce losing, away from home. You come to Anfield, if there's ever a game, because they play so open, Bournemouth actually think we're going to go and beat you. It's credit Eddie Howe, it's great to watch, but that was the perfect game for Liverpool and the perfect game for Naby Keita. Naby Keita, I would not judge Naby Keita on that one performance. I think he's probably had 2 or 3 exceptional performances across the season. If I'm looking at Man City, if I'm looking at Fernandinho and other players in that City side, I think they've had a lot more consistency to their game. That's why he's been out the side. He's only started 12 Premier League games. The reason why he's only started 12 Premier League games, I know he's had injury problems, is largely down to the fact is he hasn't been good enough. He's been playing James Milner ahead of him. Now, if he maintains that form, then you're looking at a player till the end of the season. Yes, Fabinho's improved immensely. He's probably number 1 choice now in midfield as the holding midfielder. I think he's moved ahead of Jordan Henderson now. That's the way that I would see that. Gigi Wijnaldum has been probably Liverpool's most consistent midfielder across the course of the season.
Brilliant finish.
So I think in general, what you're saying, collectively, I think what Klopp does with them, it's real high energy. Individually, City are way ahead individually.
Can he play a player into form? It seems like Klopp was almost suggesting that in his comments on Saturday night, that he was like he knew Keita wasn't going well and he just stuck with him. And I know you're saying it's not all the questions answered because of the opposition.
Fabinho not proven that you can play a player.
Well, exactly.
Yeah. No, of course you can. Of course you can. A player, once you get that consistency and you start to get that little bit more confidence, you start to be a bit more relaxed in your surroundings. Of course, I'm sure there's a bit of that with Naby Keita. Something that you always overlook, things off the field, finding a place, getting partners settled, children settled, all these sort of things come into effect as well. But I'm looking at Naby Keita maybe in a month's time. Has he had 4 consistent, excellent games playing midfield? And that's when I'd probably judge Naby Keita a little bit more, I'd feel, yeah.
Well, so Trent Alexander-Arnold came off the bench and Milner went into midfield when Alden went off because obviously he'd been sick over the last few days. It'll be interesting to see who gets in the team when the big games come.
Yeah, well, you're looking at it overall and they've got the Munich game, haven't they, next week? I think he's got to try and rotate them and keep them fresh ahead of that game. That's the way that I would see it. I think if he goes his first choice against Munich away from home, I think Fabinho, Wijnaldum and Milner, I think they're his first choice 3 if Trent Alexander-Arnold is fit.
Yeah, and that would mean like Keita's taking a step back, but then suddenly you have options. They're through that period now where they had no right back and they had to play Milner at right back. And if Alexander-Arnold looked fine coming on. He was
looked really good actually.
Fine to be on the bench, fine to play. But everybody looked good. So there is a bit where Bournemouth do kind of say, you can have the ball. You're Liverpool. You're actually quite good on the ball.
Yeah,
and they realise that, and it's like shot, chance, goal. Firmino wasn't great. Was like a real focal point, but just touch was a little bit off.
Where did he play Firmino? Did Firmino play out wide? Because Salah's played most of the season through the middle as a 9.
It felt to my untrained eye like Salah was actually more
right hand side.
On the right hand side.
Right hand side, yeah.
Cutting in. And that for me,
I only saw the highlights of the game, so I didn't see that one actually. So, what he's done for a lot of the season, he's interchanged it a lot. So Firmino, of course, can play as a 9, but predominantly Salah through the middle. Salah has played straight through the middle as a 9. Yeah, formation here it's suggesting that Firmino was playing through the middle, Salah out on the right hand side, where he played a lot last season, getting his goals. Created one, Firmino, of course. I think Firmino has been at the level he was last season. I don't think he has been, at that level he was at last year. I think Mane's been fairly consistent in the last 6 weeks. I think that's going to be a big plus for Liverpool in the second half of the season.
Yeah, Mane's going to score a goal 1 in 3 chances, and the other 2 chances could be even better chances than the goal he scores.
Yeah.
And there was like a free header which he should have scored from. Listening to Brian Kerr a bit yesterday, he was like, Liverpool 3-0 up fairly early on. They've got to push on and try and make back some of that goal difference that Chelsea have over them, thinking, it might be a 0-0 draw tomorrow. Who knows what's going to happen in that? That Man City have over in the ahead of the Chelsea game. So it's I think it's gone from 7 to 10 or whatever the difference is now.
Yeah,
10.
Massive, isn't it?
They ain't getting that back over the rest of the season, so they've got to beat them on points.
Well, if anyone can, it'd be Liverpool. You get momentum at Anfield, and they score 2 or 3 goals. You could quite easily see Liverpool win 5-0, 5-0 at home, couldn't you? That's the way that I would see it. I could see that. I'm not saying they will, because I could quite easily see City win 5-0, 5-0 at home against somebody else. So I'd probably agree with you in that respect. I think that'll be a tough one for them to overcome that goal difference. But if anyone can, it's certainly Liverpool.
Yeah. The long and the short of it is everybody should go to Anfield at least once. It's definitely worth going to.
Yeah. I think I'm not at Anfield. Next time I'll see Liverpool, I think it's a Merseyside derby. Nathan and I are there for.
That'll be a good game.
That'll be a good one.
What's the city like for those?
Good, yeah, brilliant.
biggest cheer of the day was when the Watford-Everton result came through afterwards. Watford had beaten Everton 1-0. The crowd said, yeah!
Yeah.
I'm like, I didn't realise.
Yeah, it is, yeah. It is. It is.
It would be quite the sort of bookend of a terrible run of form for Everton, which started with Jordan Pickford's calamitous mistake.
It is.
And to end that run of form, beating Liverpool wouldn't be a bad way to do it.
It's the only redeeming grace this season. Everton have been absolutely dreadful across the season. I don't see any identity in Everton's side. I don't see how they play. I don't see, I can look at Everton and think they're a long ball side, they're a passing side, I don't see anything with Everton. I really don't, and that's the disappointing thing. So this will redeem them if they were managed to get something in that Merseyside derby. Yeah.
What would you do as Marco Silva?
Oh God, I don't. Everton have had too much change since Moyes has left, and that's the way that I would see it now. They've not really got that consistency across the board, and I don't know. I think it's too early yet. Certainly give them to the end of the season, and let's see how it goes, and let's look at it then. I think because Everton are not going to finish in the top 6 now. They're not going to get relegated. I think it's about trying to find some consistency in this second half of the season, get some results together. Let's find a plan and maybe something to look forward to in the summer. Yes, there'll have to be new signings that's going to go into the place, but I don't know. I think it's too early to suggest he's going to go, but which the suggestion is that he could be.
Are they better or worse than when they had Sam Allardyce as manager?
No better, no worse. I don't think they're playing any better football than that. Maybe slightly better football, but I don't necessarily see I don't see an improvement. I don't know.
You can hit us up on the hashtag OTB AM